guys, it's Carl Brown from GuitarLessons365.com. Have an absolutely beautiful song today. We're learning how to do When the Children Cry by White Lion, the great Vito on this one. And if you're a big Vito fan and you don't want to have to spend, you're tired of having to spend 20 years learning one solo because they're so challenging, this one is actually pretty accessible. So this is his easiest one. So it's beautiful solo, really melodic, just fits the song perfectly. The rest of it is really kind of fingerstyle based stuff. So I'll be going through all the chords and stuff and giving you an idea of all the things that are going on fingerstyle wise, but getting all those patterns, it's kind of a pattern, but not really. So we'll kind of vary it all the time. So it's not really a strict thing that we have to stick with. Basically just kind of do what you want really with the finger picking, but I will kind of give you an idea of kind of what's going on in each part so you can make it sound like the recording. All right, now before I get into it, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Ring the notification bell so you notice a new video. You can like and comment, really helps the channel out if you like these types of song lessons and stuff. And if you really want to help me out and keep me doing this stuff on YouTube every week for a long time now, like almost like a decade and a half. The best way to keep me going is to join my Guitar Academy. You're going to see a link to that in the description below. That link will give you a free 7-day trial too. So my Academy has all my courses from courses for complete beginners to more advanced courses in technique, improvisation, ear training, theory, guitar tone. You get personalized support from me. Also, I do a live stream every weekend with just Academy members. It's a lot of fun too. So good community we got going over there. So please come join us. All right, let's jump into the track. So I'm in standard tuning, so nothing big there. And we're gonna start with this intro, which kind of fades in. So it sounds like it's just the same thing. You don't hear the very beginning of what I played there, but it sounds like when he starts the whole part over, you kind of have a good idea of what was actually going on before he faded in. All right, so we're gonna start with this. Kind of starts over here. So we're going to start with, so whether you're a fingerstyle player or not, you can kind of find the pattern. A lot of rock guys don't really do traditional technique and what fingerings they use or whatever. It's just whatever's comfortable. So the high E string and the low E string together to start. Then you're going to hit the open B, then the G, and then back to the B. So try this. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the 12th fret here on the high E string. You're gonna play that, then the B again, and the G, and the B. So that's the main pattern, that little 4-note pattern. But every once in a while, he'll add the low E string in there with it. So it's kind of like, you get this 4-string pattern on top here, and then here again. But that second one didn't have the low E string added into it. He only does that a couple times in the riff. So for the most part, it's just with a little variation in there, I'll show you. So we have this. Then take the melody note down to the 10th fret, and then that same 4-note picking pattern. So this. Now here's this little variation. The melody goes 8-7 on the high E string, but it's kind of a quicker melody. So what he does is he just picks the 8, then hits the open B only, and then goes the 7, and then the open B only. So since the melody's quicker, he doesn't have time for that full pattern. So far we have this. Then we're gonna go back to the 10th fret here in the melody, and this is when he does the full 4-note pattern with the low E string in there. So this is the second time in the riff he plays the low E. And let's let everything ring as much as it can. So from there, so after you hit the low E with the 10th fret melody note, full 4-note pattern, then the 4-note pattern on the 8th fret melody, and then 7th fret. And then we're gonna have this. So this is a little ending here. So it's gonna be the 3rd fret on the low E and the 3rd fret on the high E. So you play those two notes together, then the open B, then take everything back 1 fret, and then you open B again. and then we're to the part where we started, and we're gonna start over from there. So we look like this so far. So here, we're gonna start playing it the same way again. But we're gonna have a different ending. Instead of doing this, it does this. So it kind of builds into the full chord progression that we're about to get to. So this chord right here is a G chord. So I'm playing just the 3rd fret on the low E string there with my ring finger. So this finger that I've got going kind of makes it the most efficient way to play these 2 chords back to back really quickly. So we're gonna have the 3rd fret there on low E, just with your ring finger. You're gonna play that with your thumb down here, and you're gonna pick it with your thumb, and then these 3 strings with just your index, middle, and a ring finger, the D, G, and the B. It's a 4-note chord. And then what you're gonna do is take the note on the low E string down to the 2nd fret. You're gonna have the 2nd fret there on the G, so I'm gonna play that with my middle finger, and then the pinky can take the 3rd fret there on the B string. So that's a D chord, D major chord in 1st inversion. So same strings you're gonna pluck down here. So this move, gotta practice that. All right, now from there we get to this part. All right, so this is gonna start with an E minor 9 chord. So this E minor 9 is open E, 2nd fret on the A, and then the 4th fret there on the D. And then you can have the open G, open B, and open high E. So you can kind of start with this. So I kind of started with hitting the 2 outside strings on that. I hold that E minor 9, hit the. And what I did hit there, the pattern was after the 2 outside strings, we're gonna play. It goes from the 5th string, A string, I'll just call the string names. A, D, G, D, B. So we have this. From there, we're gonna go to a B minor chord. So hear this. So when we get to the B minor chord, so this is the bar at the 2nd fret with the 3rd fret on the B, 4th fret on the G, 4th fret on the D. We pick the A string first. Then we're gonna pick across on the B string, G, D, and then the high E, B, G. So he does that pattern a lot whenever he plays the B chord. That's gonna be a B minor chord sometimes. In the verse, he plays a B minor 7 chord there. So I'll talk about that when I get to the verse. So we have this. All right, from there we're gonna go to a C major chord. He kind of grabs the 2 outside notes again, which is on the A string and the B. And I just kind of pick across down it from the G to the D. Like I said, this is where we don't have to get totally accurate. And he does a quick trill between the 1st and 3rd fret on the B string. And then he's gonna hit the high E, and then he's gonna go to this G chord. Now he plays the G just like this. You can just play the 3rd fret there on the low E, and the 3rd fret there on the B. That's all you need. And he's gonna, from there, he's just gonna play those 2 outside notes that are on the low E and the B string. And he kind of just picks across those a little bit with the open D and G in there. And then he does this, which is the bass note there at the 3rd fret on the low E, followed by the open G, and then the 2nd fret on the low E, and then open G again. Kind of transitions back to the E minor. So we have this. right there, so it's pretty much the same thing. So coming out of that, when we do this, back to the E minor, back to that B minor. But leaving this B minor here, it doesn't pick it goes like this. Hits the open D on the way to that C major. So open D string. So this is the kind of the only time you hear that. So back to the C, then hammer on the third fret there on the B, open high E, and then we're gonna go to the D major chord here. So when it gets to this D here, gonna pick across it a little bit. Then do a little hammer 2 to 3 on the high E, pull back off. Then pick down the B and the G, and then you're gonna come up here. So a different inversion of this D major triad. So this is the 5th fret here on the high E, 7th on the B, 7th on the G. So look at this. Then we're gonna come all the way up here to the 10th fret, so to a first inversion D major triad. So this is at the 10th fret, barring across the high E and the B, and then the 11th fret there on the G. Hit that, and then come back here and grab a harmonic at the 7th fret across 3 strings, the D, G, and the B. This is it's kind of a D major harmonic. So all together for this intro. All right, now we've made it to the first verse, and that sounds like this. To the pre-chorus there. So it's just kind of the same thing done twice. We're going to start here with this G major, which just takes 1 finger here at the 3rd fret on the low E. And so I picked that and then the open B string together. Then come down to the G and D string. Then back to the G. Then when I get back to the B, I'm going to hammer on the 1st fret. So this. Back down to that G and the D. You'll notice that a lot of these movements in the chord, or how you time them, is just is following the vocal melody, so it's kind of easier to follow that way. Then here it's going to go to that what you get to that D major with F sharp in the bass. So I've been playing it like this. So it's just a 2nd fret there on the low E, open D, 2nd fret on the G, and 2nd fret there on the B. And I'm picking the 2 outside strings first, so that's the low E and the B string. And then just kind of keeping that same board up picking pattern going there on the open G and the D and the B string. So then we're gonna go to an E minor, not an E minor 9. So this is pretty much the only time in the song where it's just a normal E minor chord. The rest of the parts, it's an E minor 9. So basically, the first time you play that E in the verse is an E minor. So I just kind of play. Really, you just hang out on the bottom 4 strings if you want. So you're gonna hit the outside strings first, which are gonna be these outside strings will be the low E and the G string. And then anything in between doesn't really matter. and then it's gonna go to a B minor 7. So this is the one time in the song that it's a B minor 7 instead of a straight B minor. Now, later in the actual chorus sections, he's playing a B minor, but the string section that's added or whatever is playing a B minor 7. So it might sound like it's a B minor 7 that he's playing, but he's not. He's playing a B minor. But here in the second verse, the first time you play, well, the only time you play a B minor chord, it's going to be a B minor 7 in the verse. So that is a bar from the high E to this to the A string at the 2nd fret, 3rd fret there on the B string in front of that, and then the 4th fret on the D. So then, still that same picking pattern you could do on the B chord. So we have this. All right, from there to the C, kind of the same. Same change we did in the intro. So after that, from that C, melody, the high E string down to the G, so we did that in the intro already. Same. And then the E minor 9 now instead of a regular E minor to a D major. And it goes just kind of picks across that D major, hitting the outside strings first. That's the D and the high E string. And then that little trill on top, then pick down, back down through the notes. And then just repeat the exact same thing. So after 2 times of that, we get to the pre-chorus, which is just played 1 time through here at this point in the song. So it looks like this. All right, so it's gonna start with the C major chord, kind of hitting the outside strings first, which are the A string and the high E string. So we just pick those and then kind of pick across it and a couple times, and then to the B minor. That same kind of figure we do on the B minor and the B chords. Back to regular B minor. The E minor 9. And then the B minor again. And then the C. The same change from the C, the hammer on to the 3rd fret there on the B, open high E down to that G chord. So we've done this in the intro and the verse. The same bass line into the E minor 9 chord. And then it goes to a D major chord, and with this D major, goes from a D major, pick across, that's 4-note pattern. Then you're gonna put the 3rd fret here on the high E string, it's gonna make it a D+4. Then back to the D. So all together for this pre-chorus. All right, now from there we get to the chorus, which is also really, really great. Looks like this. So that first chorus ending is a little bit different than the other choruses. So we're gonna have this same E minor 9, pick across that to the B minor, the same figure on the B minor, to the C, hammer to the G. So it's the same maneuver that's happening from every time you go from that C to G. Happens in the intro, happens in the verse, happens in the pre-chorus, and happens in the chorus. So. So from that maneuver back to the E minor 9, same B minor, C. And now this is kind of like the intro, but we're gonna stop. We're gonna just do the same little D, then that little hammer pull on the high E, pick across the chord, then to that, this version, this different inversion. This is a root shape here of the D major across 5 at the 5th fret. We did this in the intro, so I'll zip through it. And then up here, grab that and just hold that. We're not gonna go, we don't go to the harmonics there. So you just stop there. And then it just goes back into, from there, it goes to the verse again. So the verse played once again twice through. And there's some, this is when they start adding the string section and some really, you hear some guitar fills being played, melodies being played. I'm not gonna cover any of those. Those are kind of like icing on the cake. We're gonna stick with the actual structure of the song, not the whole filler stuff. So we just do the verse 2 times again, and the pre-chorus again, and then we get to the next chorus, the second chorus, and this one is a little bit different because it's leading into the solo, so it's not gonna have that big fancy ending or anything like that. So it's pretty much the same thing. So when we get to this D chord, we're just gonna play that D up to the, it's kind of like how the pre-chorus ended. Just gonna end like that instead. And this is also, starting in the second chorus, since the string section's been added, when you are playing those B minors, or regular B minors is what's being played on guitar in the chorus. So you can, if you really listen close, you can hear the picking, the notes that are actually being plucked. It's from a normal B minor. But the harmony that you're gonna hear is a B minor 7th because of string sections adding all of that. So that's what you're hearing. Might make it sound a little deceiving, but just keep playing. If you wanna play it like what Vito's doing, you're gonna have to play it like a B minor chord. Or if you wanna just make it sound similar to recording, because that B minor 7th harmony is there, you can just make it the B minor 7 like we did earlier, but just do those in the second and third choruses as well. All right, but in the first chorus, it's just normal B minor. There's no strings with it yet. All right, so that chorus, that second chorus ends with just that simple little ending, and that takes us to the solo. Now the solo is over the verse. So it's just the same verse progression we've already covered, played 2 times through. All right, so let me play through Vito's solo. Like I said, this is one of his more accessible ones, but it's really, really cool too. So here we go. All right, so this one, just pure melody, a little bit of tapping. You always gotta throw that in there with Vito, but very, very, very cool. So we're gonna start with this first phrase. So that's gonna start with 2 notes across the D and the G. So the 12th fret on the D, and then the 12th fret on the G. Then into a bend and release at the 15th fret on the B string. Now you'll notice he uses his pinky there. Now, does it, you know, for these bends here on the B string at least, he's doing the pinky. It makes sense to use it for a couple of these things. Other ones, you can use your ring finger if you want. So either way, bend and release there, then over to 12 on the high E string, down to 13 on the B, and then 15, 12 on the B. Then play 14, 12, 11 on the G string. Over to 12 on the D. Sorry, this. Sorry. Next phrase. So here, it can make sense to use the pinky. Just go to bend at the 15th fret on the B string. Then what I do is I actually, because I hold my pick usually between my index and thumb like normal. So what I do is I flip it to here to just being held by my middle finger. And real quick, I move it there. And then I tap with my index finger. Vito taps with his index finger usually. You can tap with your middle finger, it doesn't really matter, so you don't have to adjust your pick, but whatever. So he taps at 17, so you've been bending that 15th fret. Tap 17, pull off, and then pull off to the 15, so it is. So it's kind of, you release the bend and pull off to the 15th fret. And then you're gonna tap 17 again, pull off to 13, and then pull off to 12. Then come over here to the 17th fret on the high E string. So I go back, bring my pick back around, and do a whole step bend and release at the 17th fret on the high string. All right, from there, next phrase. So we're gonna do a bend and release, half step bend and release at the 19th fret on the high string. Then move up to the 20th fret and do a whole step bend and release. Then play 19, 20, 19. Then go over to the 20th fret on the B string. Do a whole step bend and release. So this is a timed release, so it's part of the melody. So just like that. Then down to 19 on the B, then play 17 on the B, over to 19 on the G. So this. Now we're back to the 15th fret. So that right there was a bend at the 15th fret again. Release it, and then, so you're gonna pull off from 15 to 13 to 12 on the B, and then play 13, pull off to 12 again, and then into a bend at the 14th fret on the G. So that's gonna be a bend and release at the 14 on the G. Pull off quickly to 12 real quick, and then bend at the 15th fret there on the B. Release, and then you'll see him do a little bit of vibrato bar, kind of slowly, little bar dive as it kind of fades out. All right, so one more time through the solo for you guys, so you can hopefully play along now. All right, so from there we just go back to the same pre-chorus, or back to the fingerstyle stuff. And then we have the kind of last chorus, which is kind of an extended chorus. This is why I played everything on an electric here, because just like him live, you need to be able to go back and forth. So no acoustic for me. I don't like going back and forth in videos. It's kind of a completely different setup. It's not any fun. By the way, that pre-chorus leading into this, at the end, after the solo, that one's also played twice as long too. So then we get to this last chorus. And it's just, it has kind of a different, for the first time through it, since it's twice as long, the first time through it, the ending is slightly different to get us back around to repeating the chorus again, which we haven't done earlier in the song. And then the ending of it is just the ending of the intro. So it kind of ends like the intro. So we got this going on. So you recognize that ending, I'm sure, from when we started the song. So it's going to start that same chord. It's just that at the end, where we're getting to the first time through the chords, instead of doing anything on that D, except you play it real quick, instead of going any of that kind of stuff like we did before, instead we're just going to play it, maybe pick across it once, and then go into that 3 on the low E, open G, 2 on the low E, open G, and then start over. And then the second time through, do that full intro ending. With those harmonics, and those harmonics will end it. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's a beautiful song. Just got some great chord work in it, great melodies, and an awesome solo. So hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you again soon for GuitarLessons365.com.